Stressed, stuck, or running on empty? Today, Stephen Rue shares his must mindset, a simple way to upgrade mental performance, calm stress fast, and design a life that you're proud of. Before we start, please tap, follow, subscribe, and leave a 5-star review so people get practical tools that they can use today. Now, welcome back to The Advisor with Stacey Chillemi, where insight becomes action. By the end of this episode, you're going to have a stress reset and you're going to be able to do it in 2 minutes. A focused routine for busy days and 5-step plan to move forward, survival mode, and intentional growth. So you have a lot to learn today, and it's going to be something that you can carry on the rest of your life. Stephen, welcome to the show. Please say hello and share your quick version of your journey from adversary to family, law attorney, trauma recovery coach, and author. And tell us what that must mindset means in one sentence to you.
Stacey, thank you so much for allowing me to be here today. And hello, everybody who's watching this and listening to this podcast. My name's Stephen Rue. I'm an attorney in the New Orleans area who, throughout time, has developed and dedicated my life to personal development and ultimately to help other people. It all started out, frankly, as I was a child. We all have traumas, we all have setbacks, we all have what are perceived to be failures in life. And mine started out during my formative years, Stacey, because during those times when I was 6, my mother and father, they got divorced. That happens to so many of us. Over 50% of people nowadays end up in divorce or separating from their significant other at some point in their relationship. But in my case, my father never participated in my life after a few visitations. And so for the vast majority of my life, until he died at age 80, he wasn't there for me or my younger sister. My mother, tried to go on and she found an old boyfriend from high school, Leonard Rodney Rue. He was a great man. He was an eye surgeon. They fell in love and got married. But he had some demons we didn't know about. I was 11 years old, away at camp, when I learned that he went up in despair in his master bedroom, put a gun in his mouth, and in that brief moment of despair, killed himself. That was a day that my life changed forever. My mother turned into a person that was devastated. We all were devastated. The only person that I really considered my father was gone. The warmth that we had was gone. The support we had was gone. We didn't know where to turn to. I couldn't cry at the funeral because I felt I had to be the man of the house. I had to be the strong one. I was the only male. I was the oldest child of a younger sister. At that time, I was 11 years old. My sister was 2.5 years younger than I was. My mother essentially had a nervous breakdown, to be candid with everyone. But she gathered herself, and there was a point, and I'm sorry, I'm going to be a little bit graphic here, so I'm giving everybody a little notice, but she was in the bedroom a day or two after he committed suicide, and she was washing the blood out of the carpet. I walked in and I just stood there, and she looked at me. She stood up and said, "Honey, I love you. We got this. I will never let something like this happen to you again, and I will always take care of you." I knew then that that was her must moment in her life, her imperative, that we became more than a purpose of a regular mother, but she had an overwhelming desire to persevere, to have the tenacity and grit to go forward. And through the pain, she found her purpose. We all have that ability through our pains in life to find our purpose. And I learned from that. I try to model after her. And I went through a long personal development process from learning from Tony Robbins to Les Brown to Brian Tracy. I devoured self-improvement books, trying to figure myself out, trying to overcome this pain that was embedded in my soul that I did not know how to extricate from my existence, from my being. But I was determined to do so, just like my mother had her must in life, that she was going to take care of her kids no matter what. And I wanted to figure out, first of all, how I could relieve my mother's pain, how I could relieve my pain and my sister's pain. We all are human. We all have, we're fragile. We are vulnerable in life. And our greatest strengths often come from our moments of hurt and vulnerability when we feel the pain and we don't frankly know what to do. But I'm here today to tell each and every one of you listening and watching that you can change. You can get this pain out of you, this suffering. Over the years, devoured hundreds and maybe thousands of hours. In fact, I know thousands of hours of training. I got a law degree, an MBA. I studied and got certified in leadership at Harvard Law School. I went at LSU and got a certification in trauma-related life coaching and therapy associated with that. I'm now getting a doctorate degree, which I'll be a doctor next year. All of this to build to be able to help other people at this point. And the reality of it is we can get through our pain. We can get through our suffering. And I wrote a book called Must, Becoming the Person You're Meant to Be. It's a memoir. It's also a self-improvement and personal development book. I walk through with the reader, and I have it in Audible too, so you can listen to it. I'll walk with you. We are companions together in life. We're all interconnected. And there is suffering in everyone's life, just on, as I say in my book, on the day that I was born. It was a blessed day for my parents. They were thrilled and happy, and I was a new life on this earth. On that very same day, hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands of people died, were diagnosed with cancer, were in tragic accidents, found out their spouse was not faithful to them, etc. And there was tragedy in their lives. But I'm here to suggest to each and every one of you here today that just because we go through and have moments of suffering, elements of suffering, that we need to also recognize that doesn't mean that we don't simultaneously have blessings in life, that life is also abundant for us, that there is grace in life, and that we can have gratitude for our existence, for our living, for our loved ones, and everyone else around. So I want to emphasize that when we have a moment of suffering, a tragedy, a alleged failure, simultaneously, not before, not just after, but in that very moment, we are
Mhm.
still blessed. And I think about what, and I often think about what my father, my stepfather, Rodney Rue, was thinking when he put that gun in his mouth in that dark closet. If he had just shifted his focus away from that despair just for a moment, and that tomorrow would be another day, that if you shifted into that paradigm of blessings, that he very well may still be here today, or he would have lived a full life in recognizing that our tragedies don't have to define us unless we attach to them, unless we attach victimization to our identity. And that's what I'm here to talk about today.
Ugh, what a story. Oh my goodness. Now, what's the 2-minute story of your hardest season and turning point that created this must mindset?
Well, the hardest part came from the moments that I told you before,
Mhm.
but it's in the quiet moments of struggle that we have after the moments of the initial trauma that we have to endure, that we have to have that perseverance, what I call our must, M-U-S-T.
Hmm.
So, what is our must? Our must is our imperatives in life. Those things are not negotiable. Those things that we must do, those things that we must decide are important to us, and who we must be in order to accomplish those things. In order to do that, most people don't know where to start. There
Right.
are thousands of books, personal development, self-help books out there. But where do you start? Do you start looking at habits? Do you start looking at your purpose? Do you start looking at your mindset? Where do you start? So in my book, Must, I provide basically the yellow brick road, like Dorothy takes at the beginning of her journey in The Wizard of Oz, to
Yeah.
start off, and we're going to walk you through that process. And I'm going to walk each of you through a little bit of that process here today. Because if you're listening to this podcast today, I bet very strongly that you have a growth mindset, that you want to change, that you want to become who you were meant to be.
Hmm.
You may not know how to do it. You may not know where to start. But guess what? By listening and watching into this podcast, you are starting. So, congratulations on that. So, you have a growth mindset, which means that you have the belief in yourself that you can change, that you have the capacity to evolve, to become what you inherently already have within you. Let me
Yes.
make that very clear, and I'm going to say it again. You already have everything that you need inside of you.
Hmm.
You have to recognize that. You have to take the weeds out so that the plant can grow.
Right.
And so once we realize we have a growth mindset, we need to pause and examine what are our core beliefs in life? What are our
Hmm.
beliefs about the world? Is it a good place or not? What are our beliefs about other people? And what are our beliefs about ourselves?
Yeah.
We have to examine that and think about that very consciously, very intentionally. We generally spend more time planning our vacations during the summertime than we think about what are our belief systems, what are our value systems, what are our standards. And so I'm going to invite each and every one of you here now to do that. We need to examine what are our core beliefs. How do we think about ourselves?
Hmm.
And then we look at our values. There's a thing called the circle or wheel of life. If we
Hmm.
look at the entire balancing of our life, we have different facets like a piece of pie or a slice of pizza.
Right.
We have areas dealing with our health and vitality, our relationships, our career development, our
Hmm.
finances, our personal growth and learning, our
Yeah.
spirituality, and if we're religious, what about our peace of mind? And then
Mm.
our contribution to the world, our community, and our legacy. All of those are various aspects of our life. And we need to take the time to examine what are our values in each of those. What are our
Right.
values, for example, in our health and vitality? Do we value our nutrition? Do we value our physical health? Do we value our mindfulness, our peace of mind? Take the time in each of those various aspects of our circle of life. Write down those things that are important to us, our values.
Hmm.
Take the top three of each, and those become what I call our must values.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we have to examine our personal story, our personal narrative. As a lawyer, I've represented literally thousands of individuals. Virtually all of them come in with a story. And unfortunately, too many people come in with a story that they were a victim or that they have such limiting beliefs and learned
Hmm.
helplessness that they don't know how to change. They have defined themselves when they say, I am. I ask people to say all the time, Stacey, I say, I'm going to ask you to write down on a sheet of paper, write I am, and then take time. I'll be back in a few moments. Write down who you are. I am. It's extremely revealing. And I invite everyone that's listening to do that today. Write down who you are. Because what's happening is that that is your story, that's your personal narrative. And I promise you, there are embedded in that story limiting beliefs that we
Mhm.
formed years ago, many times in our formative life as children or when we've had traumatic events in our life that we have then decided that we've learned we cannot do something. I'm
Yes.
here to tell you that's a lie. You can do whatever you want to do in life if you believe in yourself, if you take the time, energy, and effort to do it, and also, equally as important, take action towards that.
Yes.
And so we have to examine what are our limiting beliefs. And I don't know how old you are that are listening and watching, but when I grew up, there was a thing called an Etch-a-Sketch. And in an Etch-a-Sketch, you can draw little, it's a little monitor, and you had two little knobs, and you can make little pictures, designs, etc. But if you shake it up, that image evaporates, erases. And that's what we need to do about our limiting beliefs in our personal story, those things that don't serve us well.
Hmm.
We need to etch a sketch it. We need to erase it off that chalkboard of our personal story.
Yeah.
And then once we do that, Stacy, we have what I believe to be a vacuum
Hmm.
because there's blank space on that sheet for you to add into your story, that
Right.
person that you're meant to be. You need to write in your own superhero story
Hmm.
because then you want to make sure that that is in alignment with your core beliefs, your
Right.
core values, your must values, your growth mindset. Once you have this new story, this new
Hmm.
personal narrative, you feel refreshed, you feel energized, invigorated. And
Yeah.
then what do we need to do? We need to examine what are our standards in all of the areas of our life.
Right.
What are our standards in our relationships?
Hmm.
What are our standards in our financial life? What are the standards on how we treat other people in the community?
Right.
We need to have the high standards, our must standards, our non-negotiable standards to live and be that person.
Hmm.
Because guess what? We are architects in our lives. We are responsible. We must be accountable for who we are.
Yes.
Now, I'm not suggesting at all that we need to get into this blame game of, oh, I am accountable and that's why I'm miserable because I deserve this. Shame, you need to get rid of that shame. Etch a sketch that shame out of your life.
Right.
So, how do we do this? Then we decide what our purpose is. Our purpose, we kind of figure that out. A lot of time, as I said earlier, our purpose comes from our pain. It comes from our passions. It comes from our life events. Most of us may know what our purpose is, but I'm going to challenge each and every one of you here today to reevaluate what your true purpose is because you may be living someone else's purpose. You may be living a purpose that your folks suggested that you have as you grew up, or teachers told you, or other loved ones, or friends, family, whomever. Is
Hmm.
that really your purpose, or is that someone else's purpose?
Exactly.
And move from there. You can move from there deciding what your new purpose is that are in full alignment. I almost feel like a chiropractor, Stacy, because I want everyone to be in full alignment. I want everyone to be in alignment with their values, with their beliefs, with their standards, and with their must growth mindset. Because
Hmm.
once we are, then we can move on to other things. We can move on to creating habits, which are repetitive actions from action. The
Hmm.
problem is you can grow and understand what your purpose is. You can understand your beliefs, your values, your standards, but unless you act upon it, it does you no good.
Hmm.
That's why I'm writing a book right now called Killing Try
Hmm.
because I have so many people that sit across from me in conversations, professionally and otherwise, and say, Stephen, I'm trying to change. I'm
Yeah.
trying to lose weight. I'm trying to stop drinking. Oh, I'm going to try to make your party. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're lying to yourself. That's an excuse.
Yeah.
Stop. I want to kill try. The word try, I want to kill. Because what is important about it is stop saying try. Because unless the word try is embedded with instantaneous, immediate action, even the smallest action,
Hmm.
it's a lie. Okay. So what do we need to do? We don't need to take these huge steps. We don't need to lose 10 pounds overnight. We don't need to run a marathon in a day. No, we take the first step. We put down the fork. We learn about nutrition. We
Hmm.
pick up a book and learn how to improve ourselves. It's one word at a time, one sentence at a time, one step at a time. And they have a cumulative effect that can change your life. It becomes exponential in all of the areas in the circle of life for you. I
Right.
believe in you, and you need to believe in yourself. You see, I'm going to get back to suffering, Stacy, because we all have suffering in our life. It's inevitable. We can't
Hmm.
escape it.
Right.
We may have already had it. We may have it today. We may have it tomorrow, but it's inevitable. And we have various shades of suffering, whether it be
Right.
loneliness, grief, shame, guilt, whatever it may be. But we need to not internalize it as part of our identity. And
Right.
what happens when people suffer, again, we all do,
Hmm.
there's no escaping it. The difference is huge when you can try to objectify your suffering. Another
Right.
book that's almost finished is called The Suffering Basket that I've written. It's being edited right now. And in The Suffering Basket, it's an allegory. It's about a girl who examines her suffering in a basket.
Hmm.
She picks out her loneliness and looks at it at the kitchen table. And she examines, okay, how did this happen? And what can I do about it? You're objectifying this element of suffering. And when you can take it outside of yourself and look at it outside of yourself,
Hmm.
then you can deal with it better. Then you can put it in a different perspective. But when we internalize it, when we attach that suffering to our personal identity, that's when we're in a blank load of trouble
Right.
because we have then said, not I am lonely, I have loneliness, but you're saying I am lonely. There's a
Hmm.
huge difference. There's a huge difference saying I'm lonely, identifying yourself in that way, as opposed to I have loneliness.
Hmm.
And so we need to take a little step back in our life and try to examine our life outside of the busyness of our routines. We're
Hmm.
so busy, and most of us are in a survival mode. Most of us live paycheck to paycheck. Most of us are putting our kids through school, trying to have the best relationships we can have, worried
Hmm.
about our finances, trying to figure out and have the best spiritual experience and religious or peace of mind experience we can have in our lives.
Hmm.
And we gotta pause. Just like with mindfulness, we need to pause and say, oh, we're okay at this very moment. But can we take a moment to examine these various aspects of our lives and extricate this baggage that's weighing us down? You see, because after we examine our basket of suffering that we objectify, as I said earlier in this conversation, we simultaneously have blessings.
Yeah.
But what happens, Stacy, is that quite often we forget about our blessings.
Hmm.
And the biggest crime of it all is we have blessings all around us that we perceive as just normal things in life.
Yeah.
The sun on our face, the breeze that hits us, the bird that passes by and chirps, our loving family member, a gentle embrace, a
Hmm.
caress. a kiss, words of kindness. All of these things we too often take for granted.
Right.
So we need to reflect on that. And then there are things that are not within what we consider our normal realm of existence, but are there perpetually. The fact that we are alive, the fact that we were born, the fact that we our heartbeats, that we breathe,
Right.
those are miraculous. The fact that our earth is spinning around this wonderful cosmos,
Hmm.
these are all blessings. And we need to take the time to count our blessings, absorb our blessings in our life, and then we need to evaluate our life from the perspective of love and self love.
Right.
We often don't because we feel that we're not worthy of it. Most
Hmm.
people have problems with believing that they're not enough, they're
Yeah.
not loved, they can't do this. You
Hmm.
are loved, my friends. I love you. You are enough. Other people love you.
Hmm.
And if you believe in God, which I do, God loves you. I'm a religious person, so I believe that when they say you're made in God's image, that says something. So
Yeah.
regardless of your faith, you need to know that you have value, that you're loved, you're enough, and you are worthy of self-love. Because if you can't embrace and find this self-love, then everything else is harder.
Right.
And a lot of people that are listening here right now are doubting their own ability to love themselves.
Hmm.
My friends, give yourself some grace. Give yourself some forgiveness. Give yourself a moment to etch a sketch those things. Erase those things that have burdened you, that you've incorporated into your identity.
Right.
Today is the first day, as they say, of the rest of your life. And yes, that's a coined phrase, but you really need to think about it.
Yeah.
If you're listening still now, you're getting some juice from this fruit. And this fruit came back all the way back to my mother's suffering and our suffering when I was a child. And
Hmm.
my gift, my fruit from my experiences is what I'm giving to you in my book, Must, Becoming the Person You're Meant to Be. And you are also a tree of life. You have fruits to give to others. You have very valuable assets within yourself and of yourself that someone is waiting to hear from you.
Hmm.
When you when you after evaluating yourself from the growth mindset, the beliefs, the values, when you look at your personal story, your narrative, your standards and your purpose and decide you're going to start acting upon these things, what I call your must actions. Those must actions are those non-negotiable actions in order to fulfill your purpose in life. You're intentionally living at this point.
Yeah.
But we need to, once we do that, sometimes take the focus off of us. Because sometimes if we're too much in our heads, we don't have the space to see the beauty.
Yeah.
We don't have the space to see the service that we have to help other people. And our true legacy is about giving that fruit that we have created to other people. There's purpose in your suffering, my friends. There's purpose in your blessings. There's purpose in your life that is not only about you, it's not only about your loved ones, but it's also about people you don't even know.
Right.
So we got to figure that out. And you have the full ability to do that right here and right now.
Right.
So after this podcast is over with, I'm going to ask each and every one of you to do several things. Number one, get out that sheet of paper and write I am. Write it down. Take the time then to, in calm, silent reflection when no one else is around. Fill that out. Then I want you to put it away for a day or two. Come back
Mhm.
to it because it needs to percolate.
Yeah.
You're going to look at it from a different perspective. And I want you to go with what are the things on that I am list that you put down that are limiting beliefs, things that are holding you back, things that are anchors, not wings.
Right.
Find those things and take those out.
Hmm.
It used to be a liquid paper that you could cover over words you no longer want on a piece of paper. Well, you need to liquid paper those negative things, those negative thoughts, those limiting beliefs in your life, and then you have more space. Get out a new sheet of paper and rewrite your story.
Hmm.
And then pull out another sheet of paper. I know I'm old school. I want you to pull out paper. If you want to do it on the computer, that's fine. But there's something about writing things down. As my good friend and mentor, Brian Tracy, says about goals, write them down. Write them down every day. That's a reminder of what's important to you. Write
Hmm.
them down. And now, look, I'm a lawyer, and forgive me for being a lawyer. Not everyone likes lawyers, and I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of lawyers I don't like too. But the reality of it is, writing things down are important because when you write things down, I want you to ultimately write down who you are, the
Right.
new who you are. Date
Hmm.
it, sign it, because that's a new contract with yourself.
Yes.
And then what are you going to do today, not tomorrow? Again, I'm killing try. Remember that. And so I don't want you to try to do anything. I want you to do something.
Hmm.
Put on your tennis shoes to go to the gym. Schedule that appointment to go see somebody if you need substance abuse help.
Hmm.
Take that first walk out the door. Take the stuff in your refrigerator that shouldn't be out there and put them in the trash can. Whatever it needs to do, take that small step because that's when you start your momentum towards your new life. Because
Hmm.
you not only have evaluated what your life has been, you've reevaluated who you need to be and
Right.
who you are destined to be. You've decided on a plan of action, that word action's there,
Hmm.
to implement who you are meant to be. And then we need to just realize in the process, yes, there's suffering. Yes, there's blessings. Yes, we have love and self-love because that's all part of the equation.
Yeah.
Look at the entire elements of our circle of life, and we are mapping out our future. We're mapping out our present.
Yes.
I want to say something else, Stacy, that is so terribly important. Most people get anchored into their past. I
Yes.
can't do that. I can't do that because I don't have the education. I can't do that because I don't have the physical strength. I can't do that because this, that, name your poison, fill in the blank. And so we've written this story that is our past, and we give so much concreteness to it as though it were real. Like, here's my book. This is real. Our past is not. Our past is only the it's chemicals and electric impulses in our brain. It's our what we call neuroplasticity of our brain waves conducting that we have these memories. And what we attach, the weight that we attach to our past anchors us so much.
Hmm.
We can acknowledge that these things happened, but what really happens is the past that we perceive here today is an edited version of the reality of the past.
Hmm.
Because it's just like telling a story and whispering it around the room. By the time it gets back to you, it's a different story. And that's what we do because we tell ourselves these stories over and over and over. And as days and nights and weeks and months and years pass, they change. They become more onerous. They become more hyperbolic. they become more serious. They become more weighting down our lives.
Yeah.
Get rid of it. Get rid of it. You know, most people, look, I'm all about people getting mental health, professional help. I've had it myself.
Mm-hmm.
I've had it myself. I'm so happy I did. But I
Yeah.
also equally believe, if not frankly more, in our own innate ability to say, enough is enough.
Right.
I'm changing right now. I don't need to go see a psychiatrist for 5 years to change. I can decide I want to change right now. Now, again, disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. If you need help, I want you to go get professional help. I absolutely do. But I also want you to believe in yourself. Believe that you can change.
Right.
Right here and now, if you're feeling so low that you're worried about your life, I'm begging you, take that shift in perspective. Know
Mm-hmm.
that you're loved. Know that you're enough. Know that tomorrow's going to be okay. Because
Mm-hmm.
guess what? When we have an event or when we get down, it passes.
Yeah.
It passes. Everything in your past that was bad passed.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you survived. And you may go, well, Stephen, you may go, Stacey, I don't see a way out. There is a
Right.
way out. Take a change in perspective. There's an
Mm-hmm.
old saying that Tony Robbins told me years ago is that there was a study done on racetrack drivers. You know, they go around the loop
Mm-hmm.
like at
Mm-hmm.
Daytona 500, and
Yeah.
they teach young drivers to focus on where you want to go and not the curb. Don't
Mm-hmm.
focus on the railing. Because if you focus on the railing of life, you're going to hit or increase your chances of hitting the railing of life. You have
Yeah.
to focus on where you want to go. And just like those race car drivers that are trying to learn how to get around that track, we need to
Mm-hmm.
get around the track of our lives by
Yeah.
believing that there's light at the end of the tunnel. My friends, there is.
Yes.
There is. Okay? Be happy. I want you to walk out the door after this podcast, even if it's just for a brief moment, and say to yourself, I am a renewed person. God has given me everything I need. I
Mm-hmm.
now believe in myself, and I'm going to start continuing to believe in myself, and I'm going to incrementally make changes, those imperatives in life that we absolutely need because that's who we are.
Right.
And then get out of our head and help somebody else.
Yes.
That's my message.
I love your message.
Thank
Now, I
you.
have a question for you. When
Yeah.
stress spikes, what is your 2 minute stress reset, step by step, so listeners can try it today?
The first thing I do when I'm real stressed out is to take it outside of my own being.
Mm-hmm.
As I said earlier with the suffering basket, take that element of stress outside of yourself and say, why am I so stressed? It's and what happens is this. I go into mindfulness. I
Yeah.
go into I would say I'm worried about I'm worried about paying a bill. Let's just use that as an example. We all have those issues, right?
Oh,
So I'm
yeah.
worried about a particular bill. Okay. Let's say I'm worried about taxes or a mortgage payment, whatever. Oh, mortgage is coming up.
Mhm.
Okay. How are you going to pay that mortgage payment when you're a little short, when you happen to be a government employee or something?
Right.
So what do? You realize in that moment of mindfulness that right as we sit here right now, I'm okay. I'm
Hmm.
okay. And don't attach yourself to that stress.
Right.
As you got to deal with it. We got to be practical. We got to deal with it, but we don't have to inherit it as part of who we are. Most
Right.
people, things happen to people. the extent of our suffering is voluntary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The level of our own personal suffering is largely to the extent that we allow it to occur.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying we don't have pain. I'm not saying it doesn't hurt. I'm not saying anything except for my experience dealing with thousands of people and what I do to help other people
Right.
is that they make it worse on themselves than it has to be. So when I think about my stress, I don't make it worse than it has to be. And I realize I'm okay in this very, very moment. Take a breath, be mindful, and you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we think about the future. We always have fear is fear of the future.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the fear, what is the fear of the future? Fear that the worst thing humanly possible is going to happen to us on this particular issue. And I want to ask each and every one of you right here and now, how often does that really occur?
Right.
Yeah, ever. Hardly ever. Hardly ever. But we worry about it, we fret, whatever your stress mechanism relief is, we fall into that instead
Yeah.
of realizing that we can dance with our fear and be just totally okay. We have to
Right.
recognize if we have fear, my friends, I call that a clarion call of life.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have no fear, first of all, you live in a pretty boring life. You're not taking any chances. You're in the pity pool or kiddie pool of the comfort zone that you never leave. You might not have fears if you stay there, but if you want to have progress in your life, if you want to change, if you want to enhance your life and that of others, you're going to have some fear. You're going to have uncertainty. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay because you're alive.
Yeah.
Consider it, change your look at the word fear. Go,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I have fear. That's wonderful. Congratulations, because you're doing something, right? You're doing something. That's what that means you're growing. Okay, I take this. And then at the end of the day, a week later, you look back at what you were afraid of or had fear for. You go, how silly was that?
Right.
Was just that was ridiculous. I spent all my time, energy, effort, and focus on negativity, thinking the very worst thing that would happen would happen.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a little, let's say your coin, your penny that you tossed in the air comes up tails. And the
Mm-hmm.
worst thing that could have happened happened. Guess what? You're going to get over it. You're
Yeah.
going to deal with it and you're going to get over it. So even
Mhm.
if the worst thing happens, which statistically is highly improbable,
Right.
you're going to get over it. You're going to be fine. You're still blessed at that simultaneous moment, and you're going to have blessings afterwards. You can count your blessings, you can experience grace, and you can have gratitude. And then you can move on the rest of your life and serve other people.
Right.
That's what I do when I'm stressed.
I love it. I love it. Now, how do you, this is a good one. I want to ask you, what role do boundaries play in mental performance? Can you give us one sentence to say at work or at home?
Be a little more specific what you talk about, Stacey, so I can put in my perspective.
So a lot of people, when it comes to their mental state of mind, a lot of
Yeah,
people, those type of people don't have boundaries. They've never given boundaries. They're people pleasers. They just do
yeah,
and they just want to help others all the time. And they think they're doing the right thing. Like you mentioned earlier, that they're living someone else's life. They're not living their own
yeah.
purpose.
Well, I love Mel Robbins. What a dear soul. And she
Yeah.
has that book, Let Them. Absolutely
Yeah.
let them. Let
I
them
love
do what
that
they
book.
need to do. But that doesn't mean that you need to control your own life.
Hmm.
Cut the umbilical cord that other people have on your soul
Hmm.
and and then create your own beautiful nursery of growing existence. That's what we need to do. You know,
Yes.
I tell people all the time, I love quotes. I love learning, as you probably can tell.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee had this great term, be water, which means no matter what happens to you, you don't need to be over exaggerate the responses. You need
Hmm.
to be calm, cool, and let it flow over you without it disrupting your being as much as humanly possible. Like we talked about moments ago with fearing the future and
Yeah.
fearing things that likely will not happen. You gotta
Hmm.
just, you gotta be strong in yourself. You gotta be your own rock of Gibraltar
Yes.
because you have value. You love yourself. You believe in yourself. You have rediscovered yourself and you have eliminated those chains that you embedded into your personal story.
Hmm.
And you've created a new story that you become your own superhero.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we all need to do that. Another thing about um, emotions is we need to really consciously deal with our concept of emotional intelligence, which
Hmm.
means what is emotional intelligence? That's how do we cope emotionally, psychologically with events that occur to us or around us.
Hmm.
And the best way that I can advise and recommend to everyone here today is stop reacting and start responding.
Yes.
What's the difference? Well, reacting is without thinking, it's an emotional, quick, whatever. Okay. But a response is contemplated, thought out,
Hmm.
divorce of emotion, or at least if you have emotion about something, that it's tempered by what is the most prudent response to
Right.
make. And we can do that in all areas of our lives.
Hmm.
You know what? I'm going to use this as an example. And I tell all my legal clients this when they're on the stand, but also in life.
Yeah.
And it deals with our own personal control. We've learned through conversations to be polite. When
Hmm.
someone says something to us, we naturally want to and do respond.
Hmm.
So I say, what color? I say, John Doe or Jane Doe, what color is the sky? And they say, Stephen, it's blue. And I say, why did you answer that question? Well, I was just being nice. So here's my point to each and every one of you. When you're approached with something maybe confrontational or someone trying to dictate something on you, you need to replace whatever they said was is with what color is the sky? Because just because they said something doesn't mean you have to
Respond.
react or respond to it, does it? So, what color is the sky? So, therefore, you maintain your own control in life, your water, as Bruce Lee says, and you are doing the let them theory, as Mel Robbins says. Let
Yes.
them do their own thing. That's nothing to do with me. And what people say to you has nothing to do with you. I
Hmm.
love the saying, others' opinion of you are none of my business. And we need not to absorb that as, like I have great reviews for my book, and there's some outliers that say, oh, he's ridiculous.
Hmm.
I'm not hurt either way. I'm here to help people. Okay. By the way, I would appreciate 5 stars, but you do what's in your soul. But,
Hmm.
to be real, people in their lives need very much to own themselves.
Hmm.
We need to own ourselves, be proud of ourselves, enjoy every moment. Life is too doggone short. Take the time to experience all the beauty in our lives. It's a wondrous thing. It's
Yeah.
absolutely wondrous. It's glorious. You're glorious. Know that.
I love that. I love that. Now, Stephen, listeners were promised 5 concrete actions. Would you please share 5 things today that you can do this week to reduce stress and improve performance?
Absolutely. In order to reduce stress and increase performance, we have to know ourselves. We
Mhm.
have to be on that journey towards the person that we're meant to be. So, in order to do that, I want you to first accept that you're in a growth mindset, which means that you can deal with your stress. You can overcome that. I want you to figure out in all the areas of your life that we talked about, what are your core values and your core beliefs? Number three, I want you to reevaluate what your personal narrative is and say, well, wait, if I'm this person that I'm meant to be, this new I am,
Mhm.
why am I stressed about that? Number four is you need to redefine your purpose to say, okay, I have this stress, I have these problems, but is my purpose greater than that problem? Is my purpose greater than that problem? And if you have a real must purpose, it always is, my friends. Your
Right.
purpose is always better than the problem. It's always bigger than that element of stress that it's causing you. The
Mhm.
fifth thing is we need to act upon it with those micro actions. That's
Yes,
what we need to do to change. I wish everyone the very best to become the person that they're meant to be.
I love that. I love that.
Thank
Now,
you.
where can people find your services? And maybe you could just tell us first a little about the services that you provide, about any products that you have, and the book, and where and when the new books are going to come out also.
Well, I have Must Becoming the Person You're Meant to Be that's out. I also have my guided journal that is released. I have a series of books that will be coming out that deal with various elements of the book: goal setting, purpose, mindset, time management, and productivity, how to actually create meaningful, intentional actions that are in alignment with our purpose. These things are going to be part of the must book personal
Mhm.
development series. Also, I'm working on now an online course that people can take with a workbook that goes through, and I will take you through all of this hand in hand as companions through our life's journey of going through all of these building blocks that do build to the wonderful pyramid that we are creating for ourselves. You could reach me at stephenrue.live. Also, we're developing a website, mustbook.net, for all of the must book series and resources associated with that. Right now, you can go to any bookstore in the world and get my book. You can go on Amazon, Goodreads, Barnes and Noble, whatever your flavor of where you get your books, where you get your content from. We're on Audible. We have ebooks. All of that is also available. So that's what I'm available right now for. And if someone really needs my help, just contact me. Just email me at stephenrue.live. I will reach back out to you. It's that important to me because it's that important to you.
Mm.
You're okay. That's what I told my mother when she was dying, my grandmother rather. You're okay, which means that we've got everything we need in our lives and we can cherish our lives now.
This has been amazing, Stephen. I have to tell you, I'm speechless because from the moment we began speaking and when you were telling me your story and everything you've gone through in life and how you've turned, trauma into doing something so wonderful for the people around you. You've used the crisis that you had in your life. You rose above the crisis. You overcame your obstacles, and now you're helping people make their dreams a reality. And to me, that's just truly special. you have come a long way. And I'm very proud of you. And I'm very proud
Thank you.
that you're actually reaching out to help others. And you figured out a way that helped you. And now you're trying to teach it to others, hoping that others can really rise above the chaos and overcome their obstacle as well. And I just have to say, you're a wonderful person.
Oh,
And
thank you.
everything that you talked about today is so meaningful and so purposeful. I hope that we can continue this conversation because there's so many different things we could talk about that I think would benefit, society today. People go through trauma, in their lives
Yeah.
consistently and they just don't know how to deal with it. People go through stress, people go through anxiety, and all these things, cause illness and causes, other things to happen to individuals because they just don't know how to deal with it. And, you yourself, have figured out a way that could help people. And I really do, admire you and admire
Thank you.
everything that you've
Thank
accomplished
you.
and done so much. And I just want to say thank you for being able to come on the show and share all this with others, your story and all the different tools and techniques and strategies you use. So just thank you so much for being you. Thank you so much for what you do
Thank you.
and for being such a great person.
Well, that's very kind of you. I just want to be my mother's child
Mhm.
and take what I learned from her, her resilience, her tenacity, her grit, and
Yeah.
help other people. And so I'm there for you. I'm there for everyone listening. And I very much look forward to having another conversation in the future. Thank you.
Yes. Have a great day, Stephen. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Y'all too.